Hello friends, this video on neat nuclei is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Question number 19. If in a nuclear fusion process, the masses of fusing nuclei be M1 and M2 and the mass of the resultant nucleus be M3, then, okay, now what happens is, let us say that you have two masses M1 and M2 and these two fuse together to form a mass M3. Okay, now ideally what should happen is M1 plus M2 should be equal to M3. That should be the case ideally, but that doesn't happen. Why? Because some mass is also lost as energy and that is called as mass defect. So some part of the mass is lost as energy and that is known as the mass defect. So as a result of this, M1 plus M2 is always less than M3. So we say that M3. Let's look at question number 20. When a deuterium is bombarded on oxygen-16 nucleus, an alpha particle is emitted. Then the product nucleus is. So let us try to write the equation. So we have oxygen 8-16 nucleus and it is bombarded with a deuterium. So deuterium is basically hydrogen with atomic number 1 and mass number 2. So this is an isotope of hydrogen. Right? Now what happens? An alpha particle is emitted. So alpha particle is basically helium nucleus. And now we have to find out what is the other product. So what is the other nucleus which is produced here? Correct? So for that, if we are able to identify the atomic number and mass number of this unknown nucleus, we should be able to guess what is that nucleus, right? So let us quickly remember the concept of conservation of atomic number and conservation of mass number. So first let us talk about the conservation of atomic number. So as per that, 8 plus 1 should be equal to, let's say this is Z plus 2. So from this we can say Z is equal to 9 minus 2, that is equal to 7. So therefore the atomic number of this product nucleus would be 7. So looking at the options, we can say that either the correct option is A or it is D. Now let us talk about the conservation of mass number. So we can say 16 plus 2 should be equal to, let us say mass number of this product nucleus is A. So this should be equal to A plus 4. Or we can say A is equal to 18 minus 4, which is equal to 14. So the mass number will be 14. So that means the correct answer is N714. Question number 21. In compound Xn, alpha gives lithium. The element X is. Okay, what is the meaning of this N, alpha? This shows that it is an alpha decay and the parent nucleus is bombarded with a neutron. Right? So let's write the equation. So something like this, XZA, when it is bombarded with a neutron which has a 0 charge and 1 mass, then we get lithium nucleus. Along with the lithium nucleus, we also get alpha particle. So this is our reaction. Now we have to find out what is this element X. So basically we need to find out the value of Z and A. So by conservation of atomic number, we can say that Z plus 0 is equal to 3 plus 2, or we can say Z is equal to 5. Similarly, by conservation of mass number, we can say that A plus 1 is equal to 7 plus 4, or A is equal to 11 minus 1, that is equal to 10. So for the element X, the atomic number would be 5 and the mass number would be 10. So option B would be the correct option, because the element with atomic number 5 is boron, right? So it will be boron with atomic number 5 and mass number 10. Question number 22. A nuclear decay is expressed as carbon gives boron plus beta particle plus X. Then the unknown particle X is. Okay. So again, we will follow the same procedure of conservation of mass number and atomic number. So this is beta plus particle. That means this is a positron. So positron will have +1 charge and mass is 0 plus x. So we do not know what is this x. So let's say it has an atomic number z and a mass number a. So by conservation of atomic number, we can say that 6 should be equal to 5 plus 1 plus z. So therefore z is equal to 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. So basically atomic number would be 0. Now what about the mass number? So conservation of mass number states that 11 should be equal to 11 plus 0 plus a. Therefore a is also equal to 0. So basically x is a particle with no charge and no mass. So that is possible only in case of neutrino and antineutrino. So how do we know whether it is a neutrino or an antineutrino? With positrons, that is the positive electron, always neutrinos are produced. So therefore, in this case, the correct option is neutrino with 0 charge and 0 mass. Question number 23. The count rate of a Geiger-Müller counter for the radiation of a radioactive material of half-life 30 minutes decreases to 5 per second after 2 hours. The initial count rate was. So in this question, we see that we will first have to find out the number of half-lives which are involved here. Okay, so it says that the count rate of a radioactive material of half-life 30 minutes. So we know what is the value of half-life, right? So half-life is 30 minutes and it decreases to 5 per second after 2 hours. So that means after this much time t, it reduces to this value. Correct? So we have to find out the initial count rate. So basically we need to find out the value of n naught. So n naught is something that we need to calculate. Now here let us first try to find out the number of half-lives. So as we see that 30 minutes corresponds to 1 half-life. So how many half-lives would 2 hours correspond to? So 2 hours basically means 120 minutes because 1 hour is 60 minutes. So 2 hours would be 2 into 60, that is 120 minutes. So this would correspond to 1 by 30 into 120, which is equal to 4 half-lives. Right? Now we know that n is equal to n naught 1 by 2 to the power n. So n is equal to 4. And what is this capital N? Capital N is equal to 5 per second. So this is 5 is equal to n naught 1 by 2 to the power 4. So therefore n naught is equal to 5 into 2 to the power 4. So 5 into 16, which is equal to 80 per second. So that's option C. Question number 24. If the binding energy per nucleon in lithium and helium nuclei are respectively 5.60 mega electron volt and 7.06 mega electron volt, then the energy of proton in the reaction this is. Okay, so in this case, let us first calculate the binding energy of lithium, because the binding energy which is given in the question is per nucleon. So in lithium, we have 7 nucleons, right? 7 total number of protons plus neutrons. So therefore, the binding energy of lithium would be 7 into 5.60 mega electron volt, which is equal to 39.20 mega electron volt. Now let us try to calculate the binding energy of helium. So in case of helium, we have 4 nucleons. So the binding energy would be 4 into 7.06, which is equal to 28.24 mega electron volt. Now what would be the binding energy of 2 helium nucleus? So this would be equal to 2 into 28.24, which is equal to 56.48 mega electron volt. Now let's calculate the energy of proton. So now ideally, the energy of proton plus the energy of lithium should have been equal to the entire energy of helium, right? So in this case, energy of proton would be equal to 56.48, that is the total binding energy of these two helium nuclei, minus the binding energy of lithium nucleus, that is 39.20. So this gives 17.28 mega electron volt, and that's option D. Question number 25. If the nuclear force between two protons, two neutrons, and between proton and neutron is denoted by FPP, FNN, and FPN respectively, then what is the relation between the three? Now, we have learned before that as far as nuclear force is concerned, this force is independent of charge. So it doesn't matter whether the particles are positively charged, negatively charged, or neutral in charge, nuclear force would still remain the same. So therefore the nuclear force, which is an attractive force between two protons, two neutrons, and a proton and a neutron, would all be the same. So option C is the correct one. Question number 26. 32 phosphorus beta decays to sulfur. Find the sum of the energy of the antineutrino and the kinetic energy of the beta particle. Neglect the recoil of the daughter nucleus. Atomic mass of phosphorus is 31.974 units and that of sulfur is 31.972 units. So let us first write the reaction, what is happening here. So here phosphorus is beta decaying to sulfur. So phosphorus with atomic mass 32 is decaying to sulfur with atomic mass 32, and this is a beta decay. So beta particle is getting emitted. Now beta particle normally has, it is nothing but an electron with zero mass, and in this case, along with the beta particle, an antineutrino is also getting emitted. So this is how we represent antineutrino: no charge, no mass. Right, now since antineutrino is getting emitted, so antineutrino always comes out with the negative beta particle. Correct. Now we have to calculate the energy, the sum of the energy of the antineutrino and the kinetic energy of the beta particle. So basically we need to calculate the sum of the energies of these two. Now let us say that the sum of the energy of the antineutrino and the beta particle is E. So that's what we have assumed. Now as per the concept of mass defect, what we can say, now obviously the total mass of this phosphorus nuclei will not exactly be equal to the sum of the mass of these three. There would be a difference, and that difference is called mass defect. So mass defect will be equal to mass of phosphorus 32 minus mass of sulfur 32. Right, so mass of phosphorus 32 is given as 31.974 and mass of sulfur is given as 31.972. So this comes out to be 0.002 units. Right, now this is the mass defect. Now we have to calculate the sum of the energies. So the equivalent energy would be how much? So the equivalent energy would be 0.002 multiplied by 931 mega electron volt, which is equal to 1.862, which is equal to 1.862 mega electron volt. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.